Hi there. So you've clicked on the page about accessconsciousness.com. Well, you know, quite frankly, I owe my life to Access Consciousness. As you heard on the home video page, it's like literally I wanted to kill myself 10 years ago. And I saw a little ad in the paper. It said, Access Consciousness. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. And it had a girl's phone number. At that point in my life, ease, joy, and glory were not anything I would ever considered life could be. So I got really angry and I was like, you don't know what my life is like. My life is pain, suffering, and glory. Shut up. And so I threw the paper away, and the ad came out the following week, and I was in such resistance to it again when I saw it that I called. And so here's some of the stuff that I found out. Basically, the way it works is you as a being only create difficulties in your life when you function from unconsciousness. Well, what do you mean? Well, anytime you choose from unawareness, you're going to create a difficulty. Like, have you ever started a relationship with someone and you knew it wasn't the right thing to do, but you did it anyway? How many years of pain and suffering did you get? That's what happens when you choose from anti-consciousness or from unconsciousness. And that's the only time you create a difficulty in your life. So what Access is about, it's a set of tools, techniques, and information to allow you to become more conscious in your life. Pretty much that simple. What? Yeah, it's about consciousness. Well, yeah, but nobody knows what consciousness is. Most people think, my eyes are open, I must be conscious. Okay, sorry. I like to have a good time sometimes. You know, going from wanting to kill yourself to being willing to make a fool out of yourself all over the internet, it's a lot more fun. So here's the thing, how does it work? Well, in essence, what we're doing is we're asking the energy to go back and change things. Because the consciousness of the world desires more consciousness. And when you ask, you shall receive. It's one of the things that's actually true in the Bible. Ask and you shall receive. So what you're doing is you're actually asking to change an unconscious decision or something that didn't work for you in the past. And we'll do a clearing statement or something to give you that. And then we ask the energy to go back there and change it. And it changes. I know it's really weird. It should be a lot more pain and suffering. It shouldn't be that easy. I know. But the mantra of Access is, all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. Now, y'all know what ease is, right? It's what you refuse to have in your life because life is struggle and everybody knows it. And then joy, it's that thing that you have, 30 seconds a month when you're not in the misery and pain and suffering of your life. And then glory. The actual meaning of glory actually doesn't have any religious connotation. The actual meaning of glory is exuberant expression in abundance. So imagine if your whole life could come to you with ease, where everything that occurred with ease, where you actually had joy in living your life, and it came with exuberant expression and abundance. That's really what it's about. So how did this Access stuff come about? Well, a guy named Gary Douglas started channeling information about 20 years ago. And the first piece of information he came up with was this stuff called the bars. And the bars, there are 32 points on the head. When you hold them, it's like calling up all your old files on all your old crap and pressing the delete button. All your old junk, every point of view you've had, every unhappiness, every judgment, every separation from you, every reason to think you're a pathetic pile of poo. I can say poo on the internet, right? Everything that makes you think that about you starts going away. That's the session I had 10 years ago that literally saved my life. See, I called the girl with that ad in the paper and I said, what do you do? And she told me about this thing called the bars. And she said, look, at the worst, you'll feel like you had a good massage. At the best, your whole life will change. And in the back of my head, I was going, my whole life better change or I'm killing myself. And you know what? It did. I giggled like a little kid. She put her hands on my head and it was the first sense of peace I'd had in almost 3 years. It was the first time remembering or knowing everything had always been okay. Everything always had been and everything always would be. So, that's a little bit about it. But basically, 20 years ago, this technique, this beginnings of Access started, and it's been changing dynamically ever since based on the people that come to it. Because one thing I know is that each of you has a secret. Each of you has an awareness of something. Each of you knows of some different possibility available that nobody else knows yet. And when you give up that secret, it changes the face of Access. You actually throw that thing into the pot of consciousness and it changes consciousness for all of us. Wouldn't you like to come share that secret? So that's how Access has evolved over the last 20 years. And right now it's a lot more dynamic. We can clear a lot more in any area of your life than we ever could because it's always changing. So What can you hope to get out of it? Well, you know what? You ever have a problem with your family? Like holiday time where you're supposed to be really happy to go visit them and you really don't want to? Well, that can change. I'm sure nobody watching this right now, I'm sure you don't have any financial difficulty or any stress about finances, do you? Yeah, well, guess what? That can change. One of the things that happened as this recent financial changes occurred in the world, the people that had been doing Access for any length of time, for months to years, it's interesting that most of them, their incomes didn't drop. Their portfolios may have dropped, but their income didn't drop, and they weren't stressed out about the financial situation. Because one of the things we talk to you about in Access, one of the things we share with you is the willingness to ask a question to change anything. So, can change your money, can change your family. Believe me, I like my family a lot more than I ever have. Don't tell them that though. Don't point them to this page, okay? And it can change your relationships, it can change your sex life, it can change your body, okay? Now, I've personally worked with several people with their physical issues and problems and difficulties and had them change in minutes or hours. One lady I worked with, she had fibroids and uterine fibroids. Worked with her and did a 1-hour session. Now, she'd been in Access for a couple of years, so she was willing to change things quite a bit, because one of the other things you get out of Access is the willingness to change things. In an hour, we made those fibroids disappear, gone. Now, she went prior to the session, 3 weeks before the session, she went and had an ultrasound, and the doctor wanted to do surgery. She went back for the second ultrasound to see what had changed because they figured they had probably grown. And the ultrasound technician was looking at the diagnosis, looking at the previous place where they were supposed to be, and looking at the screen with the ultrasound, and looking at the diagnosis, and looking at the screen, and he looks at her and he says, "You don't have any fibroids here. I don't know what you've been doing, but they're gone." So that's one of the effects that can occur. So, Access Consciousness is basically a way of changing anything in your life. What I'd like to do is introduce you to Gary Douglas, the founder, and just let him chat with you for a few minutes so you get to meet him too.